out, where the problems are and probably a little bit better detail than you'll get from an airplane at 2,000 or even 1,000 feet.
Credibility.
If you don't know something for sure, then don't try to wing it. Make sure the facts before you go on the air with them.
610 WIOD's Clarence Lott and the WIOD Traffic Desk give you frequent traffic updates with visibility and credibility. Depend on it.
And write it down. Marvin, what did I do to deserve this call? Did I sin or something? Of all the people in Dade, Broward, Monroe, Palm Beach counties, even over in Collier and Lee County that could have called me, this guy calls? Well, let's welcome, for the first time on my show, and maybe the last time on my show, an old, I won't say friend, acquaintance. Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's afternoon.
How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing well.
How are you, Paul?
I'm fine.
You're fine. That's good to hear. Marvin's a good American.
Yes, he is. He has a flag on his car.
Okay, let me ask you a question. I heard you did pretty good.
Yes.
Is that true?
The station did extremely well.
How'd that... Good. I'm very happy for everybody there, and I think
so are we.
You will have a 17 by the end of the month. And
God should be so good to us.
What was that?
God should be so good.
You don't mind if I pass on a message to somebody I know who's listening, do you? If it's bad, you can just go ahead and, dump it.
We will. Trust me, we will.
Well, can I say, Neil, I was right?
That's right. Neil, we were right. Listen, hey, what can I tell you? Some people have it and some don't, and he ain't.
Was Steve Kane number one? That's my only question.
Yes, Steve actually won his time slot. Yep.
He did?
Yes, he did.
Uh-oh. How ahead was he of his competition?
A lot. He blew them away.
You don't mind giving me a number, do you?
I don't know the exact numbers, and I don't know whether that's kosher or not, but let's say that he beat Stan, and he beat Al handily. He beat Al Rantel as well, as far as beating Al handily.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it isn't unbelievable. It's, it comes home to roost.
How did your time slot do you know?
It's improving.
It's improving?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to...
Of course, remember now, it just came on board in February, so...
Yeah, I know. I don't want to get you in trouble, so I'm going to go...
Oh, you're not going to get me in trouble.
Are you sure?
You're going to get yourself in trouble.
Why would I get myself in trouble?
Oh, I don't know. You'll find a way. Yeah, you're good at that.
I usually do. Well, if Neil's listening...
we know he's listening.
He always listens, right?
He always listens.
No, but he's a good American, too. Let's be honest.
He is a good American. I have no reason to dispute the fact that he's a fine American.
Okay, that's good.
He just has atrocious eating habits.
No, that's not nice.
Whoever said it was intended to be nice?
Yeah, how about you're the only one that I know that eats frog legs.
Hey, there are two of us. I love frog's legs.
Yeah, I wonder how many people out there like frog legs.
I bet you'll find a lot in this audience.
Probably so.
No, there's a lot in South Florida who like frog's legs. They're a delicacy down here.
Well, I don't want to get you in trouble, as I say before. I just called up to say hello.
Hello. And thank you for the call. And
how's the wife and kids doing, by the way?
Everybody is fine.
That's good.
Yeah, you're going to really get me in trouble with Susan now, aren't you?
Yeah, and Susan, isn't that the one?
Yes, that's the one.
Okay, Paul.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
That was to indulge his fantasy. Okay, John in South Dade, how are you?
How nice to follow the famous Mr. Cake.
Oh, yes.
Getting back to Panama and the president, I don't know if you heard or not, but at 1 o'clock the president was on network news and made a comment about the situation in Panama and the meek, mild, hesitant, whatever.
Yeah, I heard it. It was disappointing as well.
Can you imagine the Ronald Reagan of old, what he would have said?
Ronald Reagan of old would have already done it. Grenada was in...
You.
134 here on WIOD. A gloating Steve Kane is just walking away. Go get your check for $1 million, Steve. You deserve it. Yeah, you may say something.
Tell them that at 2 o'clock today to be sure to tune in to Stan Major's show to hear Stan's discussion of the ratings, okay?
I think they're going to leave that off the format today.
No, come on. Neil's going in. They're going to talk. Stan is going to...
sure they are.
In fact, is this mic on?
This mic is live.
In fact, I haven't even seen these things yet. Somebody just grabbed me when I walked in.
That's right.
But it could be that Stan is going to perhaps resurrect that funeral wreath I sent to him when Neil moved over from the...
It's possible. I have an old Bill Calder tape with taps on it he can have.
But really, I'm serious. I want everybody to listen to Stan at 2 o'clock. I'll let you go today. You know, you can have one day off. Go in and listen to Stan talk about how he's the king.
Yeah, the king?
So we'll listen to Stan's discussion of the ratings, which should take all of 3 minutes, right?
Remember King Charles I? You know what they did to him?
What did they do?
They beheaded him.
They did?
They did.
Oh, my God.
Oh, gee. That'd be a shame if that happened there, wouldn't it?
I wish I could tune in and listen.
Why don't we? They got a rule against that?
Dad, you're first. Thanks for calling. Homestead? They just don't really have much staying power in Homestead. No. Miami Beach is very patient, though. Hello.
Yeah, hi, Rick. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Fine. Hey, I enjoy your newscasts that you do, especially your special stories you do.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, I have a suggestion for a guest.
Sure.
Fruitcake.
Fruitcake?
Yeah.
We've tried to get him as a guest. He's kind of hard to locate.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, gee. Yeah. Well, he knows a lot about a lot of other things.
Yeah. Okay, we got to go. Thanks for calling. That may actually have been Fruitcake.
No, it wasn't. I know who that is. I know the voice.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing, I guess.
Some familiar voices after a while, aren't there?
Well, it comes with seasoning. You know, if I did the show as often as you did yours, I would recognize these people.
Yeah.
But I'm getting to where
This seems like a weird day for you.
It's really been it has really been a trial, a real test of my professional skills.
Well, let's put it this way. First of all, you inherited Jeff Charles' audience. Now from there, it's kind of downhill. And I think the world of Jeff, but his audience is certainly in a class by itself.
Every now and then, Jeff just says something that just knocks me flat on my back.
I'm Bill McQuigg in the WIOD News Center. Ladies and gentlemen, WIOD presents Steve Kane.
Well, a very good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen. It is about 7, make that 8 minutes after 2 o'clock on this Friday, TGIF the 26th of February 1988. I am Steve Kane. We're going to be here with an exciting, fast-moving, fast-paced program today. We have a two-parter for you. Our first 2 hours between 2 and 4, we will be speaking with Paul Kurtz. He is one of the leading secular humanists in the country, and also editor of a magazine called Free Enquiry, which is the top humanist publication in the country. Also with us at 4 o'clock. I would like to take a few moments here to talk about the ratings that just came out today. There are a couple things I want to say, speaking seriously. I personally believe that much too much is made of ratings. I say that when we have done not as well as we did this time. I say it now that we are once again in our rightful place, which is number one. The success of the Steve Kane Show has never been based on ratings. This is not a program for everybody. It is a program for those that have, as I said, somebody once called me and asked me about ratings. I said, listen, if you set up 2 theaters downtown, and in one you had, live sex acts with women and donkeys, and in the other one you had, did Carmen from the Metropolitan Opera, the live sex acts would, of course, get the big crowd. So in my opinion, if you have a few more listeners than somebody else, or they have a few more than you, is not really a major thing. I go, what I would say, more for a quality audience. However, it is nice to say that thanks to you, my listening audience, in the last Arbor Trend, which was released today, the Steve Kane Show in Afternoon Drive is the #1 AM talk show. And there are 3 stations, as you know, INZ, where we take on Mr. Major every afternoon, WNWS, my former station, where I am up against my former colleague Al Rantel. And the 3 of us go head-to-head in the last book, or in this book that was just released today. And it is just a trend. You should understand that also. I don't want to bore you with the ins and the outs of this. But the Steve Kane Show in Afternoon Drive is in with a 3-3. Mr. Major comes in second with a 3-1. Mr. Rantel once again comes in third with a 2-6. And the really astounding part of this, and I don't know really how to say this without going into a lot of detail that would probably bore you, but the astounding part of those numbers, because there is not that much right now, according to these numbers separating Mr. Major and myself, I only beat him by 0.2 of a point here, but the drop from the last book for Stan Major is a spectacular drop. He was about a point ahead of us when the last one of these things was released, and that kind of a drop means massive trouble in the afternoons at INZ. I will tell you also, for those of you who follow such things in middays, Mr. Charles over at WNWS is once again in with a 2.7, which is right about where Rantel is at 2.6, so there's real trouble over there. And on the overall station numbers, let me see, do I have the overall station numbers here? Yeah, overall station numbers, WIOD finishes number 1 with a 3.9, almost breaking that 4 barrier. 3.9 for WIOD. By the way, congratulations to Mike Ranieri in the morning, who had a 5, which is a spectacular number. Coming in number 2, WNWS with a 3.4, a half point behind WIOD, and finishing 0.7 of a point way down the field. WINZ has evaporated in the wake of Neil Rogers leaving several months ago and moving over to the FM. So that is the story, and again, I'm glad to be able, as number one, I'm glad to be able to tell you the ratings don't mean that much to me. I mean, they really don't. It means a lot to me that a number of you people listen, a large number of you listen and follow the Steve Kane Show, and I really thank you. These numbers are not obviously mine, but they are yours. If you weren't listening, we wouldn't have them. So we thank you, and we hope you will continue to listen to our show. Judy's still not here, right? I mean, how long can I go on like this? Well, I guess it is time for us to get into the meat of our program. We'll start with the serious meat. I'm not looking at you, Karen. No. I'm talking about secular humanism. And then when Judy gets here, she will provide the controversy, and of course she will take issue with everything you say and tell you where you are wrong. Paul.
Place to be, move your body right now down 79th Street, about 4 blocks away from Lejeune Road. And this is where the party people are. As a matter of fact, we're going to be kicking it live in just a moment with Spirit Matter, Tolga, GT, Debbie Deb, the Enforcers, Rock Force, and the Gucci Crew. But how the animals doing? Say ho! Mark Mosley's here to tell you a little bit more about what's happening around here today.
If you leave your house now, you'll get here in time for all the parties. So come on down to Hialeah Racetrack with your friends at what station? I can't hear you.
That's it for the animals over here. Back to you, Jim.
All right, thanks. Right now, it's a minute before 6 o'clock with Mr. Tony the Tigger. Thank you. At WPOW, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and the Palm Beaches, South Florida's continuous Musica champion, Power 96.
For 9400 in Broward. And now, here's Stan Major.
You've bought his records. You've seen his films. You've even purchased the Dayglow Velvet Memorial.
That sounds all right, John. It's okay. I'm sitting here talking to Julie, who's going to cut my hair, instead of getting ready for the opening. We don't need a big opening on the show, do we? Do you feel like you're missing something unless we have a big opening here? Or can we just begin the program? Because everybody wants to know about the ratings. And I've got news for the folks over at the Isle of Dementia over there who have been bragging on the air all afternoon how Kane has clobbered me in the ratings, you know. First of all, technically he did by 0.2 of a point win the 12 plus in the 3 to 7 time slot. I would not say Mr. Lyle, and I was listening. I finally tuned in the radio station because the music on FM on the way to work was so sucky that I did tune in. I listened to Jeff Charles to see if he was talking about the ratings, and of course he wouldn't be talking about the ratings because he doesn't have any. And here I punched up 610, and Lyle is going on about how Kane handily won his time slot. Like, you know, he really clobbered Major. Of course, you all know that the history up to this time, with one month exception, which I think was back in August, is just the reverse, because I have just been burying both Kane and Rantel. However, in this monthly trend, and again, let me say, because I want to make it perfectly clear here, that monthly trends suck. And they're great, they're great for nothing. This would be good toilet paper if we ran out of stuff in the jar. What really counts is the full book, what we call the book in this business. Now, that's not a cop-out, because I've always said that. Even when we had great trends on this show, I always withheld, to a certain extent, my enthusiasm, because I realized that a monthly trend does not a book make, because a book is based on 3 whole months, sometimes a few days more, sometimes a few days less, or whatever. But anyway, for the information of Fruitcake, who was calling in trying to get Lyle to say what the numbers were, here they are, Fruitcake. Here is how IOD clobbered me. This is how Steve Kane handily won the race between Al Rantel and Stan Major. Steve Kane had a 3-3 share in 12 plus. Stan Major had a 3-1 share. Now, I wouldn't say that that is winning handily. Steve Kane has 19,000 average quarter-hour listeners. Stan Major has 18,000 average quarter-hour listeners. However, having said that, and I will say, yeah, according to this, 3-7, he beat me. But again, please, ladies and gentlemen, remember, I don't get the 2 to 3 hour in this. And he gets the big news sports block, which has always outrated his show. So Kane didn't beat me, folks, all right? So you over at IOD, back off, all right? Now, in the 25 to 54, Kane surprisingly did well. I don't know why. I have no explanation for it, but he did well there, and I will acknowledge that. But come on, Lyle. I mean, you know, when your own program director doesn't hand you the numbers so you know what the hell you're talking about, you know, don't get on the air and make an ass out of yourself. Anyway, we have the numbers here, and Uncle Neil did well. Jay did well. The morning news block did well. Nighttime went up, and we'll get into them, you know, as we progress. All right? But again, let me emphasize that these months, and I told you yesterday, you know, that we were going to go down. I said, look, we're going to go down, and I got you all set up for that, and we went down, and, you know, big deal. We'll be back up next week.
How many times can you hear, it's like Neil says, Ernie Sochin talk about the Holocaust, or something like that? How many times can you hear that? The same topics, and like you said, the Bob Kunst, and the same guests keep showing up all the time.
Yeah.
And Steve Kane's show is probably the most unoriginal show on the radio. And not only that, here's a guy that's a 60s burnout, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, a liberal 60s burnout. And Stan, I got to tell you, for anybody out there, you know, and I have a business, and, you know, people like me, you know, that work hard and might have a little money, you know, we don't want to hear that kind of crap anymore because it doesn't relate to us.
You know, the really fascinating thing is I was looking at, I think it was CNN the other day, and they were doing their usual political thing about the so-called presidential primaries, which are nothing but a farce.
Oh.
And they ran up some survey which showed of increased interest this year in the presidential race. I don't know where in the hell they came up with the statistics. I can't find anybody who's even going to vote.
Absolutely not.
Who cares? Michael Dukakis, get out of here.
Look at the candidates you got running.
Oh, it's the worst bunch of nincompoops and nothings I've ever seen in my life.
Absolutely.
Oh, who cares?
And another thing, you know, about 3 weeks ago, Mike Spindell was on a Sunday, and he was, I guess this is a guy trying to find a show somewhere.
He always
He's
has
trying to figure out which way he wants to go with his show because he doesn't have a show.
Yeah.
So he was doing this whole thing on the state of talk radio in Miami. And I'm the one that called him. I called him on the phone, and I said, I listen to Neil, Stan, and Jay because they make me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And I got, you know, pressure at my, you know, my business, day to day, this and that. I don't want to hear all this kind of crap. You know, I can get a half hour of news at 6 o'clock, and that's enough for me. I don't need to listen to it, all the time.
Yeah.
And this guy just lambasted me and said,
Of course.
I'm self-serving and this.
Spindell will do anything to knock either Neil or Major on this same radio station.
I
can understand it if he was on IOD or Snooze or something.
And he's sitting there just absolutely, and the rest of the whole show was downgrading what you guys do.
Yeah.
And I happen to think what you guys do is great because it's enjoyable, and we all have fun, and everybody participates and gets into it, and it's just a good time thing, and.
Well, we need to get Ron Harrison and Mike Spindell together for their expertise on discussing the Stan Major program.
Well, at least one thing, Ron's a good guy. Ron likes to fish and have fun, too.
Well,
I've seen Ron down in the Keys quite a few times, and, at least he's a hell of a guy. But here's a guy, Mike Spindell, and I mean, where did this guy come from? What planet did he come from? Because, here's a guy with no show now Sunday. My business is open on Sunday, and I just happened to tune him on. And he's trying to do comedy bits and whatnot for a while, okay? And he's starting to get some response. Then he goes wild on everybody and says, hey, I want you people to start thinking now and this and that, and let's get back into topics. And then, hell, after you've listened to bits and had a little fun, who wants to get back into topics?
Gotcha. Okay, got to move on.
Stan.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll take a break and be back. It's an unscreened Thursday. We have a couple of lines available in Dade, 624-9400. We'll be back on the Major program on Winds.